Hi guys, how are you doing? Welcome back. In my previous VMware VCF video, I showed you how to set up your ESXi host so that it is prepared and ready to have VCF deployed. Now the same goes for your network because you need several networks to be in place using VLANs, and of course they need to be available to the ESXi host you're going to use in the actual deployment of VCF. Now in this video I will walk you through how I set it up in my lab environment, how I dealt with the VLAN configurations, how I labeled several things so I can recognize them later on for management. And this will make sure that when I actually start with my VMware VCF deployment, all the network part is in place and working. Let's get into it. Let's have a quick look at the lab environment I have. I have 4 ESXi hosts configured. I have a OpenSense firewall router configured in there to provide the VLANs and the different networks we need. Of course, the VLANs and the different networks which I have set up in OpenSense, they should be easily matched to the firewall solution or the router you are using. There is a workstation in there which I'm using as a jump host, and of course, this is one of the major parts of creating a VCF setup. Of course, is the cloud builder. I will get into this in another video. So for now, we are going to concentrate on the networking part. Here we are on my OpenSense firewall router for my VCF environment. So I've set up several networks, as you can see here, and I have defined for every network, I'm using another VLAN ID. And the first one, this is actually an important one before you start the VCF deployment, because your ESXi host should be configured to be in this network already before starting VCF deployment. This is where the management interface needs to be for every ESXi host. And then we have the other networks with the other functionalities in there. As you can see here, I have also set up a description for every network I'm using. So this makes it just easier for me to know what I've done later on when I'm doing documentation or something like that. So basically, you need the first 5 networks to be there when starting off with a VCF deployment. So when you've set up your VLANs and your networks, the other parts for OpenSense in this case, or any firewall you're running, which is a security parameter within your network, you need to set up firewall rules. So in my demo environment, in my lab environment, I've just set up on every interface. You can see here, these are all the networks I've just shown you with the VLANs and the descriptions. Every VLAN which I'm using for my VCF deployment will be able to communicate freely with another VLAN I need during deployment. So what I've done, I've set up the any rule on all the networks I define. For example, you can see here, this is for the ESXi management, but I've done the same for the other networks here as well. So this is something, of course, should not be done in a production environment, right? This should reflect the security policies you have in your company. So make sure that you comply to that. For a lab environment, it's not a problem, and it will give me some. It will make it easier for me, of course, to do the deployment instead of troubleshooting why is something not communicating and why is my VCF deployment not going through and giving me an error. So to make sure that networking is not a problem, I've created the firewall rules to allow any traffic on all the interfaces and all the VLANs used for the VCF deployment. Let's go to this Excel sheet. This is the Excel sheet you need to fill in. You can download it from VMware. You need to fill in and upload it to the Cloud Builder, and then the Cloud Builder will build out your VCF environment according to the parameters you configured in here. So in order to match the networks side of VCF with your own network, go to the host and tab networks, and you can see here that these are the VLANs we actually need to be there in place. I've already set up my VCF environment, so I filled out this Excel sheet already. You can see here are my ESXi hosts on the right side, and on the left side, these are the networks I've defined and set up in my OpenSense. They are the same VLAN IDs. And also you can see here the overlay network. That's the additional, the 5th VLAN, the 5th network I actually need to deploy VCF. So this is the place where everything comes together. You set up your ESXi host, you set up your networking, you enter all the information in here, And this will do the heavy lifting in building out your VCF. So from a network perspective, we have everything in place to start with our VCF deployment. This will set up the VCF infrastructure for you. It will configure all the components needed on the VCF management plane, on the management layer. And then it will be ready for us to provision actual workloads on VCF. That's a video for another day. For now, thank you for watching. As always, don't forget to click on the like and subscribe button below. If you have comments, leave it in the comment section and I will try to get to them as soon as possible. Take care. See you. Bye.